Calls are growing for the Commonwealth to declare an enormous algal bloom off the coast of South Australia a natural disaster. It's been described as an underwater bushfire because of the devastating effect on marine life. The bloom is estimated to be covering 4,500 square kilometres. It's made up of a number of different species of algae and has been forming since at least March. The first sign of trouble came from a beach on South Australia's Fleurieu Peninsula. Mystery foam and dead sea creatures started washing ashore. Since then, the algal bloom has spread into the Gulf of St Vincent, with smaller mini blooms likely present in the Spencer Gulf too. The algae isn't toxic to humans, but more than 12,000 animals are estimated to have died so far, including fish, stingrays, dolphins and sharks. Commercial fishers have been forced to pause their operations indefinitely, and fish and chip shop owners say the catch is off the menu.
A lot of businesses are going to go down with this, and York Peninsula will not survive.
We're not buying from our local suppliers because people don't want it, and our fish and chip turnover is by 50% probably.
Faith Coleman is an estuarine ecologist based in South Australia and joins us now to talk through some of the science behind this. Good afternoon to you, Faith. Thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon.
What exactly is algal bloom there? We heard in that short sequence that it's a number of different species, but what is this algal bloom and why has it appeared?
This algae bloom is a single-celled dinoflagellate, which is a little piece of algae that has two whips coming off it. And the bloom that we're having is something called Corinium mikimotoi, which is a very opportunistic species that has taken advantage of a marine heatwave to dominate the plankton at the moment.
And so you mentioned marine heatwave there. Is that the reason it's appeared, or are there other reasons behind this?
That's the primary reason. There's a lot of discussion around how we've damaged the health and resilience of our Gulf and nearshore waters, but predominantly what's happened is there's this large blob of hot water sitting off the coast of southern Australia at the moment. It actually wraps around a lot of southern Australia, and that's causing disruptions in local currents up the Gulf. It's causing disruptions in the upwelling, and that's reducing the cooling that happened over autumn in our Gulfs, killing lots of macroalgae, kelps and seaweeds and things which have been feeding this bloom. And elsewhere along that front, we've had other species bloom. It just happens that we've had a particularly troublesome one occur here.
We know it's also killing a lot of marine life there, fish included. Do we know why this algal bloom is making marine life die so quickly? What is it doing to them?
Well, this algae has a series of compounds that it releases. Some of them are allopathic. They kill other plants and other phytoplankton, whereas some of them are irritant to human lungs and eye tissue and so forth. That's also affecting many of our larger marine mammals. But the fish and things, it's got a series of chemicals and physical processes that stop the gills working. And so we're seeing a lot of issues with bleeding. You can see a lot of rashes on the larger animals due to chemicals that reduce the ability of blood clots and things to form. And then this issue with suffocation as well. So it affects species in multiple ways, which is, of course, why it's impacting so many. The 12 or 13,000 that we have records of those animals are just things that people have seen wash up on the shore. It misses all the little things and it misses all of the stuff that just sunk.
And are people justified? We heard throughout the course of this morning so far, we've heard stories on this and the economic impacts for, say, fish and chip operators from the region where people are steering clear, it seems, these school holidays at least. Is there any link that there is any harm to humans with this algal bloom?
The Health Department assures us that there is no harm to humans apart from those few cases where shellfish producers and things have been shut down due to brevetoxins, which of course is the first time we've had that in Australia. But many of the fishermen are struggling to catch fish. Many of the larger fish have moved out of the bloom. At the moment, I believe that we're looking at somewhere between a third and a half of our fisheries are impacted at present.
Yeah, that's a huge amount for it to be a major concern for both industry and the environment. What can be done about the algal bloom, and can you draw on any comparisons of where you've had to do sorts of work on algal bloom before?
Okay, so there is limited to what we can do with the present bloom in its large entirety. It is huge. It's this 4,500 kilometre area of algae bloom that's moving around the state waters. So like a wildfire, there's very little you can do to that. But locally, what we're finding is there's small solutions that kind of work. We know that seagrass beds put out bacteria that suppress them. We know that bentonite clays work, but the cost and volume of that is such that you would only do it in like 1 hectare or 10 hectare areas. But it can protect some aquaculture and wetlands of particular value. But yeah, basically in the long run, we have to do two things. And one is address climate change, and the other one is build up the ecological resilience. So plant seagrasses and oyster reefs that are missing. We have very little of our underwater environments left right around Australia, and that makes us vulnerable to these blooms.
Briefly, Faith, and in conclusion here, the Greens are calling for a national disaster declaration. Would that be necessary? What changes under such a declaration?
As far as whether it is a national natural disaster, I think it definitely is. I've never seen anything like this big in the marine zone in Australia. It means that we have better national and state coordination, and also means we have better coordination between the states. We've had small blooms connected to this one in both West Australia and Victoria, so I think a better national approach would be worthwhile.
It's been great speaking with you, Faith Coleman, Estuarine ecologist from South Australia. Thank you.
Thank you.